Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today I've borrowed this 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLS 450 4Matic from my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport. We're going to do a quick exterior and interior tour, talk about some of the features, and do a quick test drive. And I know one of the main things people like to know about any vehicle is what are the safety features. So on the screen, I will list a partial list of those very features. And if you want to know more about those features, make sure to check out the description of the video. There's always a link to the dealership's website so that you can see a full list of all of the different features, whether it's the safety features or other features that you may wish to know about that I didn't cover in the video, so we didn't make it too terribly long. And here under the hood is the 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder. And it's not shy on horsepower by any means. 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and it's going to put all that power to the ground, of course, through the all-wheel drive or 4Matic system. And the estimated gas mileage, it comes in at 20 miles per gallon in the city and 24 out on the highway. And of course, as you can see, these are optional 21-inch 5-spoke wheels. Of course, here is what your remote looks like. And I'll hit the lock button just so you can see the power folding and heated side view mirrors. And we'll just take a quick look around. Of course, you've got the running boards to make getting in and out of the interior easier, although this model most certainly is not difficult to get in and out of. And I'll show you how to raise and lower the height of the vehicle depending on what your situation and or just simple desires may be. Of course, you do have the roof rails and the rear roof spoiler to help this model not only look sporty, but that actually helps to channel wind away from the window as you're driving down the road, so you're not blowing dirt and dust and debris and all that kind of stuff all over the rear window. But when the vehicle does get a dirty rear window, of course, you do have this rear wiper to help out in that situation. And when it comes to getting into the rear cargo area, of course, you can use the remote, which I showed you the remote earlier, but I'll give you a better look. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, that's where the button is for opening the rear cargo area or the lift gate. There's also a button on the lift gate itself, a button in the interior on the inside of the driver's side door, and also down here to the left of the trailer hitch is a motion sensor that you can use to get in if you want to. And I'll put the numbers on the screen as far as cargo and towing are concerned, so if you wish to tow, you can do that, some light towing. And tell me in the comments, guys, do you plan to tow with your GLS 450? Maybe you already do if you own one. Now, you do have a cargo cover right here that you can put in place if you want to, and that doesn't just go right here. There's also a couple of notches where you can remount this in front of these third-row seats, and all you have to do is just pull out on either side, whether it's on the right or the left-hand side, to move that cargo cover. And I'll show you how to do that later on as far as where it actually goes. And here is the spare tire. There is a spare tire. And here in the rear seat area, or the rear cargo area, I should say, you've got buttons on each side. On the left-hand side, that is for lowering the middle row seats. On the right-hand side, I'll just do this real quick just so you can see it in action. Takes a second for it to respond. There they go. The seats will automatically fold down, and that's the good thing about this model, is that you can do that with the middle seats and the rear seats. As you can see, I'm lowering those seats as well. And you don't have to hold the buttons down. As you can see, I'm not touching anything right now. By the way, guys, just so you know, you don't have to hold these buttons down on either side here to raise these seats back up. They're a little slow to come up, but don't let that make you think that you have to just hold them down. As you can see, I just pulled on those buttons right there, basically pressed them, I guess you could say, and up came the middle row seats. We had the same thing with the rear seats. And just taking a look at the interior, look at the passenger side door here in the rear, just so you can kind of see what you have right there. And of course, you have a button right here that you're just going to pull up just one time on that right there, and the seat will move up and out of the way. It's not super fast to do it, but you don't have to worry about doing it manually. And as soon as that's up far enough, we'll take a second to hop into the rear seats here, which is not difficult to do by any means. And just take a look around. Now right here, see if I can get this out one-handed. That's what I was talking about. On each side, you just remove this little piece right here, this little cover, and then you can move that cargo cover forward if you so desire to. Of course, you do have another cup holder here and 2 USB ports, and it's basically the same thing on each side. Dual air conditioning vents here. This is tri-zone climate control, by the way, and let me just pan around here to the rear. You have 2 air conditioning vents in the rear for your rear seat passengers, and also there are 4 air conditioning vents here in the middle row area. You've got the 2 on the door pillars and the 2 that we also looked at down here on the rear of the console. Of course, as you can see, you've got your door bins there. You can kind of see the lighting just a little bit. In fact, here's a nice feature. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
Change the interior lighting to red.
Okay, I'm changing the color.
As you can see, it's that easy. That's one of the many features of the MBUX or MBUX, Mercedes-Benz User Experience. There's multiple names for that. That we're going to take a closer look at in just a minute. But while I was looking at the door, I did want to tell you about that because we've got enough shade here on this bright sunny day to be able to show that. Of course, there are the controls for these adjustable power seats, and you have that on the driver and passenger side here in the rear. And if you aren't already familiar with this, here's something interesting. If you're wondering what does what, that is in the exact shape of the seat. So depending on what you want to adjust, it's pretty easy to figure out what's what, especially if I can avoid getting tongue-tied. And just a quick look here into the driver's compartment, the main business area. And right here, that is the button. Let's see if I can get down there to it. Right there, the button for opening the rear lift gate and closing it from the driver's compartment. And of course, here are your seat adjustments. Basically the same thing we saw in the back seat with an addition of memory. You've got 3 different settings for seat memory, not only on the driver's side, but the passenger seat as well is the same way. So some additional amenities here in the front. And speaking of the front, here are the front seats. Got a little bolstering there in case you want to take advantage of that 362 horsepower and drive a little bit on the spiritedly side. Of course, via this control right here, you can move the steering wheel position, tilt and telescopically. You can adjust that however you see fit. And just real fast here, just want to cover this. If you don't like the auto stop start feature, when you start the engine up, you can just reach over and turn that off immediately if you so desire to do so. And just a quick look at the dashboard. Of course, you control the dashboard from the left-hand side with these steering wheel mounted controls. You do have cruise control as well, and you have kind of the mini trackpad, as I like to call it. And you can surf your way around with that and change the look of the display, among many other features. Of course, we'll just change that one time. That actually is my favorite look right there. And of course, you can scroll over and make changes to what you have on the dashboard as well. Now, in case you haven't seen this before, I did want to show you something. If there's something you want to know about your Mercedes vehicle and you're out on the road somewhere, maybe you don't want to get on the internet on your phone or whatever the case may be, we're going to go to Operator's Manual right here. Now, let this come up. I'm going to do this in real time as far as how this works. We're going to hit Continue right here and go over here to Animations, and hopefully I can get this to work. Hopefully I've got enough connectivity here to do this. But basically what it's going to do is show you an animation of whatever it is you want to see. I don't think I have enough connectivity right now to do that. It depends on where you are. I do have a tutorial on that here on the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel on exactly how that works. Of course, moving on, we're going to take a look down here. You've got your dual zone climate control, and you can hide away what you have under here. Of course, there's wireless charging. You've got your USB ports right there and your beverage holders. And right here, this is going to allow you to lower the vehicle, or you can raise it back up depending on your situation. And of course, you do have the Bombay doors. I'll tell you what, having this gimbal makes it a little more challenging to do some of this just because it confines my space a little bit, but hopefully that gives you a good view of that. I'm just going to have to learn how to use this a little bit better. Tell me what you think about the video, guys. Do you like the quality? Is it a little bit better with the gimbal? Now, as we get out on the road for our quick test drive, one thing I forgot to mention earlier was the driving modes. I usually show that on the screen, and I didn't do that earlier. So here's what you have. You have off-road, you have eco, comfort, sport, and individual. And the advantage to individual, as I did show earlier, is that you can change everything depending on what you want the vehicle to do in a multitude of ways. And so you don't have to basically have the most aggressive of everything. If you want aggressive steering, but you want the shocks, or the suspension I should say, to be comfort, then you're good. You can set that. That's why it's called individual. So very nice feature. And let me just get up here. I'm in sport mode. We'll do a quick little acceleration test here. Let me just slow down a little bit here. Once you get into it and the turbocharger starts to build boost, the acceleration is really good. And of course, I'm not going to have a chance to do a 0 to 60 pull just because of driving down this road. We're taking a different test drive route than what I normally do. But you definitely aren't hurting for horsepower and or torque with this model. The little 3-liter 6-cylinder under the hood is not weak by any means. In fact, there was a time when you'd hear of a 6-cylinder or even a 4-cylinder and think, that doesn't have any horsepower. The V8's had all the power, and those days are long gone. The V8 still have plenty of power, but the 4 and the 6-cylinder engines now make plenty as well. And you have a leather-wrapped steering wheel here, very comfortable, very responsive, but depending on what you want to experience with your steering, of course, you can go into individual and change that. Very simple to do. The thing I noticed here, a lot of people tend to shy away from SUVs because they tend to be a little bit rough on the riding experience, the driving experience. Comfort is not an issue here. This is a luxury SUV and it rides as such. Definitely not a problem at all. Everything's very easy to get to. And I showed you earlier how to raise and lower the height of the vehicle. And one of the big advantages to that, if you ever got into a situation where there was flooding in your area and it was safe to drive through the waters, you could raise the vehicle up enough to where the water wouldn't be able to get into the vehicle, depending on how high the water was, of course. But it's just something to consider. And you know, this does have, like I said, off-road mode. And you know, it's capable off-road. It doesn't mean you need to go do extreme off-roading necessarily. It'd be kind of interesting to get my hands on a model and have the dealership just say, do whatever you want to do with it and show us what it can do. Then we might go have some fun. But that hasn't happened yet. One thing about the brakes on this model is I did notice the brake pedal seems to be a little bit soft, but as you come to a stop, you realize there's plenty of braking power. It's not a big deal at all. A soft brake pedal doesn't mean weak braking. In fact, that can actually be a good thing, because often when you drive a vehicle that has soft brakes, it often means the brakes are literally soft. They're weak. They might need some work, some maintenance. Not the case here, of course, as being a brand new model, but I do like the fact that the brakes work very well and you have good solid control over how aggressive they are or are not. And going back to talking about comfort, I've driven in comfort mode, I've driven in sport mode, and I really can't tell much of a difference, if anything at all, in the ride quality. So that's always good, because that means even though the vehicle has different settings, like I've said, if you want to drive spiritedly and drive in sport mode with everything set to its most aggressive capabilities, then you can do that and still enjoy a comfortable ride quality. The Mercedes-Benz has definitely done a good job with oops, I said the wrong thing, didn't I? Let me turn that off. You got to be careful what you say with the MB words, because she might respond. Anyway, between the technology and the comfort of the ride, and the horsepower, everything that's here. This is a very fun vehicle to drive, I must admit. You know, by the way, guys, tell me what you think about the camera view here with what we're doing today. Trying to make the shot a little more steady for all of you instead of having the head mount on. So tell me what you think about that. Anyway, got to say thanks to my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport for loaning me this model for the day. I always appreciate that. Remember to check the description of the video if you want to know more about this particular model. There's a link to this very model in the description, and if you click on that and it's not there, then it goes to inventory, then you know that it has sold. And of course, I appreciate each and every one of you who are kind enough to take the time to watch my videos. And if you made it this far into the video, here's a little trivia for you. And if you get it right, the first person to answer this question correctly will win a free Vehicle Visionary t-shirt or long sleeve sweatshirt, whatever you want, of your choice. As far as the shifter goes here, on the steering column right here, what other vehicles do you see that same shifter in? If somebody can answer that, I will send you a t-shirt of your choice, color, whichever logo you want, all that good stuff. But answer that question. The first person who answers correctly wins the contest. So again, guys, thanks for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.